All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack how Alibaba's Qwen model family is fundamentally changing the global AI race. We hear about new AI breakthroughs practically every single day. Usually, the whole conversation revolves around who has the smartest, most capable model out there. But right now, there is a massive tectonic shift happening just underneath the surface of the industry. It's a shift from simply trying to build the smartest artificial intelligence to, actually, scratch that, it's a massive contest over something much more pragmatic: distribution and infrastructure. Today, we're going to look at how a specific family of open models is quietly laying the groundwork to become the default building material for the next generation of AI products. So Alibaba claims its Qwen family hit 3 billion global downloads in just 6 months. 3 billion. To put that into perspective, that is a truly staggering figure that immediately forces us to pay attention. In a space entirely dominated by giants like Google and Meta, seeing a number this massive attached to a Chinese AI family, that is a crystal clear signal that the dynamics of adoption are rapidly evolving. But as we'll see, a download number alone doesn't tell the whole story, though it absolutely sets the stage for a much larger geopolitical and technological shift. We usually obsess over which AI model is the smartest, right? We're always checking benchmarks and test scores to see who edged out the competition by half a percentage point. But the US-China tech contest is shifting almost entirely toward distribution power. The most important AI leaderboard this week wasn't a benchmark test. It was literally a download counter. This implies that winning the AI race might not be about having a proprietary, closed system that just beats everyone else on a test. It's about having a system that is so widely distributed and integrated that it becomes an inescapable standard. Now, you might be wondering, does this actually mean Alibaba just built the world's absolute best AI? Well, it's absolutely crucial we ask this, because an astronomical download count is actually a signal of something much deeper than just model quality. Superior intelligence is one thing, for sure, but accessibility, usability, and strategic distribution, that forms an entirely different kind of moat. We're going to break down exactly what this massive surge in adoption really represents and why it matters so much for developers and businesses all around the world. Okay, Section 1, Untangling the Download Data. Let's separate the sources. We really need some nuance here, because whenever you hear numbers in the billions, you have to ask, who's counting? Alibaba officially reports 3 billion global downloads across a 6-month period. But independently, Hugging Face, the major developer platform, counted about 2.061 billion Qwen repository downloads over the first 7 months of the year just on their own hub. So the key takeaway here is that while both datasets show massive adoption, we have to keep Alibaba's broad company claims separate from Hugging Face's narrower, independent platform analytics. You can't just mix them together. But honestly, they both point undeniably in the exact same direction: unusually large developer adoption. Moving on to Section 2, Building the Ecosystem Flywheel, Engineering Adoption. So, to understand how this flywheel spins, you need to know that developers aren't just downloading Qwen to look at it. They are actively building derivative models tailored to their own specific needs. Think of a derivative model as a community adaptation. It could be a fine-tune for a specific medical or legal task, or maybe a quantized build, which is basically when you compress a model so it needs way less memory and runs on cheaper hardware. Doing this requires real effort. Downloads just measure attention, but derivative models, they reveal what developers are actually wiring into real working systems. And the sheer scale of the gap here is honestly just wild. Qwen has amassed over 151,000 public derivative repositories on Hugging Face. That absolutely dwarfs Google's 82,000 and is roughly 2.6 times the size of Meta's footprint with Llama. No way around it, this is the ultimate proof that developers aren't just testing Qwen. They are investing serious time to adapt, compress, package, and build upon it. So how did Alibaba achieve this? Well, it's a very calculated 4-step process. Step 1, broad model choice. They offer a massive family of models, from tiny systems under 1 billion parameters that'll run on your laptop, all the way up to their frontier-scale Qwen 3.8 Max, which is a 2.4 trillion parameter beast. Step 2, Apache 2.0 licensing. This is a commercially permissive open-weight license that lets developers freely build and redistribute variants. Step 3, developer integrations. This makes the next adoption decision easier with every new tutorial an adopter created. And all of this leads to Step 4, ecosystem lock-in. Because if a developer can use the exact same model family for a quick laptop prototype and a massive cloud deployment, they have almost no reason to switch ecosystems. It works exactly like an operating system flywheel. I absolutely love this analogy because it hits the nail right on the head for today's AI market. Think of frontier benchmarks as lap times for race cars. Qwen's download and derivative numbers measure something entirely different. They measure how many mechanics have chosen one specific engine family, learned how to tune it, stocked its carts, and built their vehicles completely around it. The fastest car can still lose if nobody else can afford, modify, or distribute its engine. Export controls might limit access to advanced chips, sure, but they don't automatically stop these downloadable software ecosystems from spreading like wildfire globally. Turns out, mechanics really love free engine parts. Section 3, Mapping Winners and Losers. Let's look at the shifting advantages. In any tech shift this big, the landscape gets drastically redrawn. Let's start with who comes out on top. Alibaba is the obvious one. They gain a massive organic funnel straight into their enterprise cloud products and their model studio. But developers are huge winners too, gaining broad choices under that permissive Apache 2.0 license. Hardware and inference companies win because they can sell optimized deployment paths for a ubiquitous model. And lastly, businesses that have historically been underserved by expensive, closed API systems now gain access to highly capable, lower-cost, and customizable alternatives. But on the flip side, we have the exposed players. Meta's Llama has historically been the undeniable champion of open source, but that crown is seriously slipping if developers default to Qwen. Google appears noticeably less central when you look at that derivative creation data we talked about earlier. Smaller labs face a very real existential threat. They risk becoming mere feature suppliers rather than owning the ecosystem themselves. And even the closed model giants are going to face intense pricing pressure as these high-quality, open alternatives become incredibly easy to deploy. Which brings us to Section 4, What the Numbers Miss. The Caveats of Adoption. We've got to be super careful not to just conflate distribution metrics with guaranteed business success. It is vital to remember these caveats. First off, 3 billion downloads does not mean 3 billion individual human users. It just doesn't. Downloads can easily be inflated by automated pipelines that pull a model multiple times a day during development. Second, popularity does not automatically prove superior intelligence or safety. Third, and this is a massive strategic risk for Alibaba, open models do not guarantee cloud revenue. Developers might download Qwen for free, but they can easily run it on rival clouds or local hardware. Plus, enterprise buyers are going to heavily scrutinize data governance, security, and the geopolitical exposure of using a model originating from China. Section 5. The next signals to watch. Is this sustainable dominance? So, looking past the shocking 3 billion headline, what should we actually be paying attention to next? Keep your eyes on these specific signals. First, monitor the monthly growth of those derivative models, especially now that the massive Qwen 3.8 max weights are becoming widely available. Are developers producing useful fine-tunes, or does it just generate a brief spike in attention without sustained reuse? Second, watch whether Alibaba Cloud and Model Studio actually see a revenue boost. Can they convert this open source scale into paying cloud customers? Third, track the level of support by major inference platforms. And lastly, watch incredibly closely to see how Meta or Google attempts to close this derivative gap. Honestly, continued derivative growth is a much stronger piece of evidence than hitting another arbitrary download milestone. At the end of the day, the AI war isn't just about who builds the smartest model today. The real question is, will Qwen convert this incredible ecosystem scale into durable business and technical lock-in? Or will developers simply take the open technology and run? The next winner in AI might not be the model that tops a benchmark today, but rather the family of models developers choose to build our future upon.